This episode is a little bit more for our fans. So it really is. Like, there's so much tangents and all that stuff.
This one was a mess.
Yeah. But we also learned about Rosie O'Donnell.
Rosie Ruiz.
Rosie Ruiz. She's
a marathon runner.
She is a marathon runner. She was the female winner of the Boston Marathon in 1980. So
record holder.
Yeah, and she held on to that medal till the end of her life. So we talk about how she won the race and then the controversy that surrounded it. So this episode comes out when?
Who knows, man?
April
22nd. Yes,
that's right. Yeah. So this again, I'm on tour in June. I've got some dates sometime.
Come to one.
For real, come to the shows. That'd be great.
Yeah.
All my shows, as always, JaronMyers.com/shows. Some of the cities I know for sure I'll be in that I can, I can't tell you the dates, but I can loosely be like, Coleman, Alabama, Houston, Texas, Jacksonville, Florida, Charlotte, North Carolina. And you're like, didn't you just go to Florida and Texas? I also said the same thing to the tour people. I said, didn't we just do this? And so that's where we'll be at. Austin, Texas is one of the places. So
love it.
Gonna get weird. Yeah, Austin's not as crazy as it used to be, right? Austin, like there used to be a stereotype around Austin, Texas, and that's not a thing.
I think now it's like a comedy hub.
That's great. Yeah. See this tangent right now? This is what you're in store for. So, all right, let's get to the episode.
Hey, man.
What's up?
Have you ever heard of Rosie Ruiz?
Rosie Ruiz?
Rosie Ruiz.
Oh, man. So is her stage name O'Donnell then? Is that what's happening?
No,
that's a stage name?
But no. Rosie Ruiz, here's a picture of her. We'll see if you can guess what she does based on her photo. I love doing this. Rosie Ruiz, what do you think she does? It's a shockingly good photo considering the era. Like you can tell what era this is.
Considering. Is she a lawyer?
That's a good guess. I think that's a pretty good guess. Well, here, I'll give you another one.
Her showing up for court. She did something. She's a murderer.
I'll show you another one.
Yeah, okay. So she's the center of the trial of whatever is happening. Okay. So what?
She looks very guilty.
She doesn't look super guilty. She just looks like this is the photo that they run on the news, you know?
Yeah. So Rosie Ruiz. Well, actually, you know what?
Okay.
What are you talking about?
So Rosie Ruiz.
What are you talking
clearly
about?
She's on trial, you know? Are you all right?
What is that?
Did you get your workout in this morning?
No, I didn't.
I can tell.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Here, let's just Rosie Ruiz.
You got chubby cheeks.
Oh my gosh. Should we run around should we pick up the chairs and run a couple laps around the table real quick?
Face,
should we run around the table a couple?
Your voice sounds bad. And ultimately, the only remedy is for you to follow Christ.
Oh no. I hate what this is whatever this is right now.
Bullies for Christ.
Oh my!
It's a callback.
Oh, I don't even know what that.
I don't even know what that callback. You listened to that episode like a week ago. We recorded that, and this is not a joke. Yesterday, so like you listen to it, you're like, oh, that's a callback from a couple weeks ago. That episode a long time ago. Wow, what a deep callback. This is less than a 24-hour callback for Tim. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I don't remember.
You don't remember Bullies for Christ? You don't remember the whole wave pool where like they let her drown and then they opened the note cards and started reading?
Because it was the BFC. That's right.
This was literally yesterday, dude.
Jeez, you asked if I was okay, and now I'm wondering, am I not?
No, it was a genuine concern that I was like, you're talking, you're like, so Rosie is. I'm like, okay. Maybe we need to do some jumping jacks or something.
Yikes. Okay. Anyways, I guess we'll talk about Rosie Ruiz.
There you go. There's the
Rosie Ruiz. We'll start it here. Here. And
what year is this?
1979. She ran.
Question.
Okay.
Color photos.
Yeah.
When?
What do you mean when?
When did they happen? Because why are we seeing so many pictures? That's the 70s. They had colored pictures.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because that's what I'm saying. If this is 1979, why are we having black and white pictures?
I think these are newspaper photos. I think that's why they look so good, and then they're black and white because they're printed in black and white.
Okay.
But we do have color photos. I'll show you some color photos when we get into it. Actually, I'll show you a color photo right now. Maybe this will tell you who she is.
She's covered in blood.
Gruesome.
Maybe this will tell you who she is.
Yeah, this is actually one with the police in this photo.
Okay. Oh, she's a marathon runner.
Yeah.
Why are you talking like this, dude? This is what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be mean to you right now. But I'm like, oh, she's a marathon runner. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know, man. So in 1979, she ran the New York City Marathon, and she placed 11th overall with a time of 2:56:29.
Okay.
Which
is fast.
Very fast. It was enough for her to qualify for the Boston Marathon.
It's like a 9-minute pace, right?
I don't know how many miles is a marathon. Do you know off the
26.2?
Yeah, so I don't know what the math is on that. I didn't do the math, but it's quick. So she finished with that time, 2:56:29, which placed 11th overall.
Almost 3 hours to run 26 miles. So that's
fast.
7 minutes. That's 8 minutes. 8 2/3 minutes.
Yeah. Which I remember.
It's around a 9-minute pace, I guess.
I mean, I remember in high school, if you could run an 8-minute mile, people were like, that's a good job. That's what everyone said.
That's a good job.
All the peers.
This was the sign at our school.
Good job.
It's as if you were in the club. Good job. Oh, you remember that callback?
The kids went. You finished the mile and all the kids go like
8
this.
minutes? All in unison too, just a bunch of high schoolers going crazy.
Honestly, if you're imagine being you're not even A1. You're like an A. Is that A? Did they say A? Gosh, it's been so long since I've been in high school. Is that what they do? A5? 5A. I got it backwards. You're a 3A high school. You're not even the top of the list, right? You're a 3A high school. You play basketball. You're at an away game at some other high school. Student section is all there. But for some reason, they aren't rowdy. But every time something happens in their favor, the whole student section, 200 kids, the full bleacher, in unison, just the terrifying.
Yeah. I love that. I love that when you started doing this bit, I was like, I'm going to do a different bit. Yeah, no, I'm saying like they're all just standing there watching the game like this.
Yeah, just completely like.
That's.
Yeah.
At least it's better than.
And then they go back.
Have you watched did you watch the documentary, the North Korea documentary, the something sun, rising sun, something like that? You know what I'm talking about? Where like the camera crew got access, and then in the editing they showed the parts that was supposed to get edited out.
Oh,
you seen that documentary?
Love that. No, I didn't see it, but I love that idea.
Yeah, it's phenomenal because it's literally like they got access to North Korea to make a propaganda documentary.
Yeah.
But then they just showed all the other parts of like them waiting for the bus and literally the people being like, okay, go. And like people started walking and pretending to be part of the
normal.
City.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
interesting.
Eerie. But like the fact that the whole crowd claps. That was what that's a North
That's
Korea
what
reference.
They do?
Yeah. They literally go and they all stop in unison. They don't do that, I don't think. They're not freaking stormtroopers, but they like yeah.
I just
forever.
Do you think that because of the like melting pot nature of our nation, that is what has inspired?
That's what starts to sound like because we're not all the same. You know, like starts to sound a little.
Well, what I'm saying is like our culture is where a bunch of cultures that are like supposed to, in theory, live together in unison.
Yeah.
But I think what has actually happened is that it's like
island off.
Yeah, and then and almost like
But then we end up with then we end up with a bunch of people who belong to no island really.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then
there's
and then that fuels this, I don't know what to, this, I guess racism and nationalism.
Sure.
Because it's like, I think
there's a desire that people have to want to be part of a unified culture.
Yeah.
And the problem is that the people who are the loudest about wanting to unify the culture are like, yeah, and that culture has to hate gay people.
Yeah.
And and you're like, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm all like, yeah, let's unify the culture. Let's say I'm proud to live in this country, sure.
Yeah.
But also, does that mean I have to be like, and if you're proud of your heritage in any way that takes away from this, then you're anti this. And it's just like, oh, I don't think I'm on board for that.
Yeah.
And so, but I do agree with what you're saying. Yes, it ends up being a bunch of different islands. And then, I think it's the 23andMe stuff is like, talking to my wife about like, we can't easily track our grandparents, great-grandparents. We can't track that back to like, oh, we're Irish or we're German or we're this. Like we're just a hodgepodge.
That's true. So much of like so many people who live here and like their families always lived here, they don't have
a bigger story.
Like they don't have like a connection to their ancestors because they don't know who they are. Like
sure.
We all our generation of people whose families always lived here. Like I don't know what I don't even know my great grandparents' names.
So I think that's what I'm saying is that I think that's the symptom of the culture that we have built. Is that we've so prioritized us, like we don't think about our great grandkids anymore either.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't think about it as far as like the part of the whole or that we're part of a larger story.
Yeah.
We think of it as I'm living right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's because of the I don't want to blame one generation, but there's a couple generations that came before us who were the most selfish in American history. And all of a sudden things are bad.
It does,
but no, I'm just no, things were already bad. And
it does breed this. I don't know. It breeds this. I don't want to pay taxes because it's just for me. You know what I'm saying? Like any program that helps other people.
You want to get into a tax conversation?
No, what I'm saying is like it's pushed the community so small.
Sure.
That it's like everyone on the outside's the outside and almost an enemy and dangerous.
I mean, yeah, you saw that. I think you saw that during COVID when people were like, me and mine, taking care of me and mine.
Yes.
And then like this whole like, what's the movement called where people are buying homesteading?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where they're just like, yeah, I'm just gonna live out here and take care of me and mine. You're like, you're a freaking isolated prepper is what you are.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I think the longing that people have is one, to be part of a bigger story than themselves, and two, to be part of a community that's also living in that story. And as the American church has been deteriorating over the past several decades, that used to be one of the unifying factors. Another unifying factor was that same thing where like people used to be part of a job or a career and they would work at that company for 50 years.
Yeah.
Being a part of that company and its growth was part of their story. Now people are job hopping every couple of years because it's so individualistic and island life, right?
Yeah. And also because you can't have a
and also because it doesn't pay off the same way because your employer doesn't view you as part of the bigger story.
Yeah, exactly.
Your employer views you as a cog
liability
to get to that thing. Yes.
Yeah.
And so, I think to try to be like, oh, it's because of the melting pot thing, or because there are so many other factors and so much stuff that came together to create this awful spot that we're in.
Yeah.
Where it's hard to make friends.
Yeah.
Because friendship requires that I care about your well-being, whether it involves me or not. Like my love for you is that I want the best for you, whether that's like not at the expense of myself, even just like I want what's best for you.
Yeah.
And so that's hard to do in a society where we're all just kind of thinking about what I need to do. Also, I would love to have the extra money or time to invest in friendships and community. Yeah. Don't have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you want to go out to lunch with your friends? That's $100.
Yeah, for real. For real.
And you're like, oh, okay, I can do that once a month or once every other month.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? It's like, oh, well, why don't you just go to each other's houses?
Yeah.
Well, we live freaking 40 minutes apart because the rent sucks.
Yep.
And it's hard to find a place to live.
Yep.
Okay, well, still, you could probably make the drive and go hang out at each other's houses. Yeah, but then I also got to clean up my apartment, which takes time. There's energy that I do not have when I come home from my job. That's what I'm saying. There's so many other, and those aren't just excuses. Those are just things that are like, man, we want to have friends over. I got to go clean my house.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm just getting by most nights.
Yeah.
And then we get, you open social media and it's like, hey, you lazy sack of crap. Oh, you're going to sit.
You are kind of lazy though.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, if you've been watching for a minute and you like this show, a great way to help out is by becoming a Patreon supporters. Our patrons get a ton of perks for their support. They get ad-free episodes a week early. They get a Discord with our hosts and producers. We do monthly hangouts. There's a way to get birthday messages on your birthday. There's a lot of great perks, but more than anything, you just help make sure that this show continues to happen forever. We never want to stop. We're going to keep doing this forever. If we have enough patron supporters, we can put our brains in those little vats and have AI pretend it's us. And so we can keep doing it long after we die. But that only happens if you support us on Patreon. So we appreciate your support. Thanks for your help. If you don't want to support, that's totally fine. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate you watching this show. So she had a time of 2 hours, 56 minutes, and 29 seconds. Like an 8.5 minute
How do you
pace.
even get into this, man?
Really quick.
Okay.
She placed 11th overall in the New York City Marathon.
Jeez, man.
Good time,
Sure.
right? And it was good enough to qualify her for the Boston Marathon. And here's the thing about the Boston Marathon. The New York City Marathon was founded, I think, in 1970. So in 79, it was a very new
Feels like
thing.
we've been running those things forever.
It does. Well, the Boston Marathon is the oldest marathon in the country. It's been running since the 1890s. And that marathon...
Why did it take New York 100 years to be like, hey, we should do one of those?
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But Boston was the prestigious one. And it still is. It's the big one.
It's the big one.
And so...
You need to qualify for that stuff.
Yeah, you don't just get to run
sneak
for
into
it.
the race?
And so she qualifies for the Boston Marathon.
But not the New York Marathon.
Well, no, she qualified for the New York Marathon too.
Oh, okay.
And we'll get into kind of the story about how she qualified in a minute. But she does the Boston Marathon.
This is where she hit someone in the kneecap.
What?
That's Tanya Harding. It was an ice skating.
Oh.
Do you know about Tanya Harding?
Maybe.
Well, maybe I'll do an episode about Tanya Harding. Okay, sure.
That sounds vaguely familiar. The name sounds familiar. Anyways.
Yeah.
In April 1980, so just a few months later, she runs the Boston Marathon. And she finishes this marathon with a time of
2 hours and 56 minutes?
No, 2 hours and 56 minutes was New York.
Great.
Have you been paying attention? I told you this already. I snuck it in while you were ranting about taxes.
So I was straight to Cam, being like, here's what's public education, all this stuff. And then you went 2 hours, 37 minutes.
No, she finished with a time of 2 hours, 31 minutes, and 56 seconds. And so her time...
I just said.
You said 37. Close. And so she placed first, and it was she
won the Boston Marathon.
Yeah, it was the fastest female time in Boston Marathon history. And it's also the third fastest female time ever recorded in any marathon ever. So this was a stunning performance, especially because of the fact that she did just a couple months earlier a marathon time of 2 hours and 56 minutes.
To sort of cut 25 minutes.
Yeah. In 4 months.
That's
is
not
very
possible.
impressive. It's very impressive.
Yeah.
So she finishes that race and she comes into the finish line and we see this picture.
I'm no marathon runner, but I know that's not possible.
Yeah, so she finishes this marathon. She's very clearly huffing and puffing. She needs the police to carry her.
You know what? Never mind. We're going to let it go.
She needs the police to carry her into the finish line.
Yeah.
And
these two are the most 1980 cops you could even imagine. Look at the guy on the right. Is he got a chew in?
They both have chew in for sure.
They
Look at them.
both
got chew in.
I was thinking that the other day. I thought I saw someone on my flight that had chew. Are you allowed to do chew on a plane?
Why wouldn't you?
You
can eat on a plane.
I don't know.
You have to swallow it though. Sir,
I saw somewhere
Sir,
else.
you can do that here, but you gotta swallow it.
There was somewhere else that I saw someone have chew in, and I was like, "Are you allowed to have chew here?"
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can chew wherever you want.
Is that it?
I think so.
What's those Zen pouches people are all about?
Yeah, it's chew in a pouch.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's just chew in a pouch.
That's crazy.
So it's a little clean, like it's cleaner to
many-
deal with, I think.
So many people who are.
All the youngins are into it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, you get that little nicotine hit. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. All I get lip cancer
drink
from
my
it.
second Celsius of the morning.
Are you serious? That's your second?
Yeah.
Shut up. No, it's not. When did you eat the first? Drink the first.
Well, I ate the first one. On my drive down.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay.
Should I not be drinking? I feel a little bit like, let's go.
That's perfect.
I'm ready to fight someone over our tax system.
So she gets her
Or
little,
at least stand up with a little sign.
her little
Where I
olive
go,
branch.
no.
Lie. False.
That's so stupid, dude. Oh.
So she gets her little crown, and
She gets her little crown.
and they take her to the podium.
And they give her one of those space blankets.
And they take her to the podium. So she's sitting at she gets the podium. She gets
And
her
she goes,
medal.
This was the secret all along.
It was my nose.
Yeah.
I could smell the finish line.
That's not the joke I was making. It was the 80s, dude.
and so-
every runner was on cocaine.
So next to her is the first place male.
Yeah.
And so
Obviously.
they're sitting there doing the press conference, right?
Yeah.
and,
And they have to legally get married, I think, is what the Boston rules are. It's like they're like,
Like,
the
all
king
right,
and
it's
queen
time.
of Boston now. Whoever wins this race has to kiss.
Congratulations, you won.
Congratulations.
Now kiss that guy.
Kiss him. It was the 80s. You know? That's what a lot of people think that war hero and the nurse, like that's what that picture was.
Yeah.
They just won a marathon.
They just won the marathon. They had to kiss.
Had to kiss.
So that's Bill Rogers. Bill Rogers, he is like a legend in the marathon world, I think.
Oh.
He won 4 straight New York City marathons, 3 straight Boston marathons, and he was an Olympian. And so he's like a big time
He's
marathon
out there.
runner. And he was consistently like winning.
What was
races.
his time for the New York Marathon?
For the New York?
For that one that they won together.
He did it in 2 hours and 12 minutes.
Oh, okay. He beat her
So
like
he
20
beat her by
minutes.
a lot.
Yeah.
But she was the fastest woman in that race.
So just so we're clear of how the Boston Marathon worked, he crosses the finish line.
Yeah.
There's not a single other person for 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. I'm sure there's other men who finished, I guess, probably.
Oh, yeah. There's probably other.
Yeah. It wasn't,
Yeah.
she didn't get second place overall.
Yeah, she got.
Okay. She was just
woman.
the first woman to finish.
Yeah, and the Boston Marathon is interesting too.
Which is
because-
actually, and that's how they timed too, is that every minute that a man runs is actually, every minute that a woman runs is 0.7.
minute and a half longer.
Yeah. So the time's a little skewed.
it's a little different. No, but the Boston Marathon's interesting. I don't know if you knew this. Here, let me see if I can find this picture. The Boston Marathon, it's I don't know what the right way to say this is, but it's co-ed. So you have at the same time you have men and women running, and they're all getting their different times, and they're getting medals for their.
Yeah, I think everyone knows what co-ed means. Well, I guess not
They're-
everyone. You guys probably went to a crappy little public school, didn't you?
So they're
Sorry, I'm just in it now. I'm angry.
so they have all their their different times and their
Yeah.
different podium, but it's also different ability level at the same race too. And so it's like
okay.
you're in the marathon with
With people with disabilities.
in wheelchairs,
Yeah.
which is very interesting. I never knew that. I don't know how long they've been doing that, but this is the same marathon that
Yeah.
she ran in.
Which honestly, that's way more impressive to me. You know how mad I would be?
It is
If-
it is pretty crazy for you to be running a marathon and be at pace with someone in a wheelchair. Like
That's what I'm saying.
that's pretty.
That's
crazy.
like whenever I ran at the YMCA track in Springfield, that outdoor track they got, and there was this guy who had to be 112 who was out there running, and he passed me. And I literally stopped and went to my car. I was like, I can't do
I
this today.
can't.
I can't let this ancient geriatric bag of bones run past me and keep my confidence. I can't do it. I had to go home. I was like, you know what I'm good at? Lifting. I'll lift. I'll lift. I bet he can't lift
strong.
more than me.
Yeah.
And then he could. And I had to drive to my car. And I had to drive to my car, I guess. I had to go to my car and I cried. And I was like, wow, I got outlifted.
So you had to be like, I bet he can't eat more McDoubles than me.
Yeah, that's what I had to do. I had to start doing eating competitions.
I saw this
find some way to win.
I saw this on a podcast the other day. I'm going to ask you this because I'm curious what your opinion is. Do you think what would you rather do? You know who John Jones is?
Nope.
I'll show you a picture of him.
Okay.
If you're listening and you don't know, John Jones is like a world champion UFC fighter.
Oh, okay.
Freak of a specimen.
Like heavyweight or like
heavyweight? Yeah.
Okay.
And just massive. This image has some forced perspective.
What was that
which
guy?
Is great.
What was the big UFC fighter when we were kids? What was his name? Not like Kimba or something like that. Kimbo Slice.
Kimbo Slice. I don't know. Was he UFC?
Was he WWE? I thought he was like a real fighter.
Yeah, I think was he a boxer? Did he do UFC?
He was big, right?
He might have done UFC. Yeah, he did do UFC. You're right. Yeah, he was huge. He was huge. So here's the question. Okay. Here's John Jones.
Okay.
I love.
He's not like huge though.
Yeah, he might have cut weight for this, honestly, because he does look a little small. He's very cut in this.
He's very I mean, he's jacked. Don't get us wrong, but he's not like, you know.
So the question is, would you rather get in the ring and fight John Jones?
Okay. Okay.
Or would you rather get in the ring and hold on, let me show you the other guy and see if would you rather compete against this guy? Would you rather compete? Would you rather compete against this guy?
Oh, in an eating competition?
Yeah, Joey Chestnut. Hot dog eating contest.
I think I could beat Joey Chestnut
or John Chestnut. No, or John Jones. You're not fighting.
I'm gonna fight Joey Chestnut. I'm gonna fight Joey Chestnut. That's easy. I could beat the crap out of Joey Chestnut.
No. That's not the question. Would I
rather UFC fight
John Jones?
John Jones.
Yeah, or would you rather hot dog eating contest Joey Chestnut?
I think I'd rather hot dog eat contest. Golly.
First of all, you need to recognize he's a world record holder. I don't know if you know this.
Listen up. Listen. Shut. If you get in the ring with John Jones and you realize, like you're like, okay, I'm pretty confident. You get into the fight, you take a hit, and you realize pretty quick you're going to lose that fight.
Yeah.
What is your option? You have to keep doing it.
You can't like bail out.
Yeah. If you're in a hot dog eating contest against Joey Chestnut and you realize pretty quick, I don't know, a couple hot dogs in that you're not going to win this thing, you can just stop. You know what I'm saying? Like you
can just lose.
The hot dogs don't have to hurt you. You know what I'm saying?
The hot dogs don't have to hurt you is a crazy thing to say.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but if you're in a ring with John Jones, your only way out is submission.
Yeah, you either get knocked out or you tap out.
Yeah,
I mean, you could try to grapple.
You're gonna sit on the floor and
go. Yeah, you should sit down immediately.
Because then you look really bad. You look so bad for that. But in a hot dog contest, you can try to fake it and be like, I'm really trying, and like really slowly eat these hot dogs. Like,
yeah.
You know, and then you've only down 7 to his 73.
That's not the thing, though. It's like you have to put in max effort. Whatever it is, you're putting max effort.
Yeah, I'm saying you're going max effort. You're going with the hot dogs. You're like, okay, I'm doing it. But when you realize, there's a point where it's kind of like, you know, the third quarter of the Super Bowl when you realize this isn't turning around.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, let's notch up the pressure a little bit here. It's not just you're getting.
We got a lot to get.
You're not just. We did a whole. Hold on. You're not just trying to see who what get in the ring, and right. Okay. You're not just. It's you have to win in one of these, or you die. And so you're fighting for your survival. It's Joey Chestnut or John Jones. Who do you feel like you have better odds against? Fighting John Jones or eating more hot dogs than Joey Chestnut. Which, reminder, Joey Chestnut has ate 83 hot dogs in less than 10 minutes before.
Sure. I'm saying either way, you win, but at what cost? You know? It's like, It's like, dude,
It's like the end of
in order to
game.
beat John Jones, you
Was it
got to
worth
bite
it?
his ear off. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to play super dirty
What
and
did it
beat
cost?
him. But then you're also like, a couple broken bones. You're pretty roughed up.
You're beat. You're
Yeah?
beat. Yeah.
You beat Joey Chestnut, but you've had to eat 84 hot dogs in 10 minutes. You're pretty roughed up.
Yeah. You might never
You're
recover
on the
from
brink
that.
of death either way.
Yeah, for sure.
And really, what it comes down to is you should, in this scenario, start to question what kind of system set me up that neither way I could really win. That to win, I would really have to ultimately fail. And you should start questioning the system. And that's what happens when you think about these scenarios for more than 12 seconds.
Okay, but honestly, I think, and this is gonna sound crazy.
You think you could beat John Jones because you're stupid. You're a dumb
No, I
person.
think somehow the odds are a little bit better with John Jones than they are Joey Chestnut. I don't think I have a physical possibility.
Yeah.
To
I hear
get
what you're saying.
84
I think
hot dogs inside my
you
stomach.
have more window of luck with John Jones.
I think so
fight.
too.
Because
I think
if
it's very
a
slim.
well-placed hit or a misplaced hit on his part. We've seen
where they
shins
break their legs.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
There's more room for error in that fight, but also you could die.
Yeah, very. I mean, yeah, your odds are not good, but somehow they're a little better. They're somehow a little better. Anyways,
That was really worth that.
thanks. So Rosie, she finishes this race, and
That's okay. I don't imagine anyone's really looking up Rosie. You know what I'm saying? Like some of our topics, like if we did all this in like the freaking Montauk Project episode or something, that'd be a little different.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those stories where it's like,
no one's here for Rosie.
I'm here for Rosie.
Okay, good. Bill Rogers is on the podium next to her.
Who would want Rosie?
Bill's getting-
Jesus would want Rosie. You guys get it? It's
Barabbas.
no, it was the Matt Chandler sort. You know what I'm talking about?
I thought you were doing the.
Give us Barabbas. I know what you
yeah.
thought I was doing.
Anyways, so Bill.
Give us Rosie.
Bill's getting his medal, and he's on the podium, and he's looking over at the women's podium at Rosie, and he's like,
you look weird.
and he's looking at her, and he's like, she's wearing sleeves, and he's like,
sleeves?
yeah, he's like, elite runners, we don't wear sleeves if you're running at
like
this
full
level.
sleeves.
Yeah, they go sleeveless because you chafe.
Okay.
And so she's like, that's not. He's like, that's curious, and he looks at her legs, and she's like, and he's like, those aren't runner's legs.
I wasn't gonna say that. You pulled this picture up and I was like, well, look, and then I stopped myself because I was like, I'm not trying to body shame Rosie here.
But yeah, she does not have the
She doesn't
appearance of
appear
someone
to be a person who
of an elite runner.
lives in the cardio space.
Yeah, she doesn't look like an elite marathon runner. Because like here, these are runners, and their legs are just like, and their arms, everything about them is scrawnier because they're running more. Their legs are more muscular, and their limbs are scrawny because they run so much.
Yeah.
He goes over to her and he asks her, and he
He goes, hey, why
says,
are your legs so bad? What do you mean he asked?
why do you look like
He's
that?
like, hey, you know
Well, he also notices he's like, you look like you've been running, right? But you don't look like you've been running a marathon. Like
Yeah.
you're not that sweaty. You're not
He
that
leans in and he goes,
tired.
He goes, how far did you actually run?
He's like, hey,
He goes, what?
kind of shoes do you wear?
You smell like beef and cheese. People don't know that's a reference.
Yeah, people don't know that. People don't know.
So he confronts her essentially.
Yeah, he comes over and he says, hey, 25 minutes to shave off your time in 4 months is kind of crazy.
Pretty crazy. What'd you do?
And so he says, have you been doing intervals? And she's like,
yeah.
she's like, I don't know what that is. And he's like, what are your splits? And she's like, I don't know what that is. And so a bunch of the other runners start talking to her and being like, I don't understand how she did this. And who's your trainer? And she's like, I'm
I just run.
Yeah, she's like, I don't have a trainer. I'm just doing it. I'm training on my own. And then so there's a reporter after the ceremony, all this stuff is happening. The reporter comes to talk to her and is like, hey, amazing performance.
Yeah.
Incredible. You shaved 25 minutes off your time at the New York City Marathon just a few months ago. How'd you do it? Who's your trainer? And she's like, oh, I don't have a trainer. I'm doing it on my own.
Self-trained.
Yeah.
Self-taught.
And then she's like, oh, that's crazy. She's like, have you been doing speed intervals? And there's a video of her, and she says, everybody's been asking me that. I don't know what those are. And she's like, well, typically you would think that someone who increased their time so much
running at this caliber,
would be doing some sort of speed training. It's pretty impressive that you were able to shave that much time without having any training. And then on that video, she also says, what are your splits? And she's like, I'm going to be honest, I don't know what those are.
I can't do the splits. What?
She's like, I would say my favorite
Not
are
flexible
banana.
enough.
I like banana
Not flexible enough.
splits the most. And so like
Banana splits are pretty overrated, to be honest.
Very
As a
overrated.
former fat guy, let me tell you, the best ice cream desserts is just like a normal like scoop ice cream with some chocolate syrup on it. When you overcomplicate it with others, like you can put maybe some Oreo crumbles on that thing, but you put gummy worms in there, straight to hell.
Gummy worms mess that.
Like that's terrible. Like it's just like.
Yeah.
Because gummy worms and ice cream, it's like, oh, it's like the, what do they call that? Like they're like, oh, it's like the mud, right? Because the
Mud and
the
bugs.
Yeah. All that happens is the gummy worms get hard.
They do get hard.
And then you put them in your mouth and you're like,
And then
yeah. I used to
like
be 400 pounds. If you need other tips on how to be a fat person, this is tips from a fat person. That's what we're doing. Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. Wanted to let you know real quick, we have an email list, and it's not like a, hey, we're going to send you our merch and new episodes all the time. We actually give you updates on these stories as we find out about them. So a lot of our episodes we've done a couple years ago now have updates, or the person the topic was about passed away or was caught by the police, or whatever updates we can find on episodes that we've done. We want to let you know about it so that our episodes just aren't, out there out of date. It's a really fun way to keep learning new information. And then every once in a while, we let you know about new events coming up or new episodes. And it's just a way to help us keep spreading this show. To join that email list, you can text TILLN to 66866, or there's a link in the description of this episode, or you can just go to TILLN.com. It's very easy to join this email list. It's everywhere. It's actually really hard to not join it. So...
Another curious thing about this race,
Yeah.
some of the other female contenders asked her what she thought of the neighborhood of Wellesley.
Okay.
Because two things. One, Wellesley, beautiful neighborhood.
Running through it, sure.
Yeah, beautiful neighborhood. Obviously, like a very cool side of Boston. But there's a college there that is known for whenever the women runners come through, they lose their minds for all the female runners. And she did not mention that at all.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you think of
What do you
Wellesley?
mean they lose their minds for all the female runners? Like in a
They cheer for
positive
them.
way?
It's positive. Yeah.
Okay.
It's totally supportive.
They're not like, woo!
Yeah,
Look at those runners' legs, baby. Like they're not catcalling them.
It's not catcalling. They're
like, what'd you think of that neighborhood where they were throwing beads at you?
No, it's very supportive. Very supportive.
Okay.
Yeah, and she did not mention it at all. She was like, it was a very pretty neighborhood.
She's like, it's a beautiful neighborhood.
Yeah. And they were like, weird.
Uh-huh.
And then there was an interesting thing because at the 17-mile mark, Patty Lyons said that she was told that she was second among the women. And at the 18-mile mark, Jacqueline Garreau was told that she was first among the women. And so to be that close to the end of the race, to be told, that you're leading the pack, and then to end up having someone else beat you, and not just beat you, but like crush you, is very surprising. And so there was a lot of questions starting to come out.
Okay.
And so over the subsequent days, an investigation was started because they were like, there's no way that she actually did this and pulled this off. And long story short, what they started doing is they interviewed a bunch of people that were there. They asked some questions to a lot of other runners, and this ends up going to a court case. And in the case,
is there like a prize for winning?
I don't think there's like a cash prize, but I think that like they do get medals. I don't know if there is a cash prize actually.
I feel like there would be.
Let's see.
It's a lot of work to not get paid.
There is, but they didn't start doing it until 86.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so...
and that was just for the men.
Yeah, so, and that's... now it's 100,000. But
oh my gosh!
But
to go from nothing to build it up to where it's like that's a full time, because that's what I'm saying. There's people who are like their full time job is to win marathons.
Yeah, and I mean if you run enough marathons, like especially if they're prizes,
it's like NASCAR.
Like and you could get sponsored. I bet.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you got sponsorships. But anyways, so this ends up going to a court case. So we saw the picture. This is the like one supporter she ever got, and this started to clearly bother her. She was very upset that people did not believe that she ran this marathon. And so this was making national news.
I love watching scammers cry.
This made national news, and a lot of people were digging into her and her story and trying to figure out what's going on. How did this happen?
Yeah.
And so to find out how this happened, we have to go back to the beginning. She was born in Havana, Cuba.
How long are we in this episode? We're 38 minutes in.
We're at 59.
Oh my!
We've cut a little bit out though. And she was born in 1953 in Havana, Cuba.
Sorry, Alex.
Shortly after, she moved to Memphis, Florida, which I've got a picture of Memphis, Florida. Not Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Memphis, Florida looks like this.
We had so much to get to.
Memphis, Florida. She moves to Memphis, Florida, is there for only a couple years. And then she moves to Hollywood, Florida, because she was separated from her mother and ends up living with her aunts and uncles. And grows up there, ends up going to Wayne State College in Nebraska.
Okay.
And she graduates with a music degree. Useless degree.
Okay.
She graduates with a music degree. But maybe most noteworthy thing in her whole story is while she's in college, she's in a car accident. It's a pretty severe car accident. She gets a traumatic head injury. And shortly after, I don't know if it's a result of the head injury. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But she ends up being diagnosed with a brain tumor, but it's benign. But it is a fairly large
tumor there.
brain tumor. And so they leave it because they think it's more because it's benign. It was more dangerous to try to get it out than it was to just leave it. And so she's living her life with this brain tumor now. Benign, but a brain tumor. And so in the 70s, after she graduates, she moves to New York City, where she gets a job with Metal Traders, a commodities firm.
Okay.
And she's just kind of doing like admin work for them. And she really, out of the blue, was like, I want to run in the New York City Marathon. And so she tried to qualify for it, but she didn't qualify for the marathon. So she calls the marathon operators, and this is months before the marathon starts, the organization that runs it.
Yeah.
And she calls them and she says, hey, I have brain cancer.
This is my make-a-wish.
I would love to run the marathon. And they said, okay. And so...
Okay.
And so they let her run the marathon. And so she shows up, day of marathon. All her coworkers are like super supportive. They're like very excited to see her run in this marathon. Because I don't know if she's told them she has brain cancer too. She doesn't. I mean, she has a tumor, but she's not like...
So she has brain cancer.
I mean, I guess, yeah, but it's not like... It's benign, you know?
Oh.
And so she goes and she runs in this race. She starts the race.
Yeah.
And she starts this race earnestly. I think she believes she could do it.
She gets the.
She's not a runner.
She gets a couple hot dogs in, realizes she's not going to win this battle.
So she sits down and she taps out on the floor. And
she
everyone's
goes,
like, what are you doing? People
I
don't
have brain
do
cancer.
that.
Let me do it. All right. They let you do it when you have brain cancer.
And so she runs a few miles
Okay.
and she starts to realize this is harder than I thought it was going to be.
No.
So she's in the middle of this run.
Running 1 mile is pretty difficult.
It's pretty hard. And so she runs and she's running and she notices the subway station. And so she just kind of slows down, sneaks her way into the subway, gets on the train, and takes the train to Central Park, which is near the finish line. Takes the train all the way to Central Park. And she feels like, oh, there's enough people here. Like, this is a crowded
I
city.
can just sneak back. She didn't.
There's a
mean to
lot
win.
going on.
Oh,
and so
she just was going to sneak back in and get to the finish line. She didn't mean to win.
Yeah. So, matter of fact, she's talking to another girl on the subway who's a freelance photographer.
Yeah.
And the freelance photographer is like, oh, are you here for the marathon? She's like, yeah. And she's like, I am. I'm going to go photograph the finish. And she's like, that's awesome. She's like, I actually injured my ankle. And she's like, I was running it, but I injured my ankle. So I'm just taking the subway to the end. She's like, I'm done. But she was fully intending to just sneak back into the race. So she took the subway. She gets there and she waits for like more runners to pass by. And then she just sneaks out of the crowd and just starts running again. And then finishes. And so in the New York Marathon, she finished 11th overall, the time of 2:59.
Right.
And 29 seconds, which was still a very good time. Like I think what happened here was she was embarrassed that she went out for this and realized she couldn't finish. And so she just snuck into the finish. And then she gets what is a pretty good time. And so the marathon runners say, hey, you qualified for the Boston Marathon. You should run in it. And then she's like, oh, no.
But she's a brain tumor, so she goes, yeah.
She goes, oh, no, I don't think I should do that. But her boss, super supportive, is like, oh, no, you should do that. Like, that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Like, you had an incredible time. You should do it. And she's like, oh, no, I couldn't even afford it. I couldn't even get out there.
I'll pay for it.
And yeah, her boss is like, I'll pay for it. I'll cover room, board, everything. Go out there. Go run in the race. Go do it. And so
this is what I'm saying too, though. Why do you have to win it? You know what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't you, if you're like, okay, I know that I'm lying.
Yeah.
Just get 27th place.
So she goes and she runs in this race, and the same thing. She runs a couple miles and then sneaks into the Boston subway system and then takes the subway. And what she does here
Can't do that in the Midwest. We don't have public transportation.
Can't cheat in the Kansas City Marathon.
Yeah, what are you going to take the streetcar?
What, are you going to take an Uber?
Actually.
And so she takes the subway near the finish line, and she kind of miscalculates the time. She thinks she doesn't plan on winning. She's I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come in at the middle of the pack. It's going to be whatever. And then so she's sitting there waiting. She sees a few of the men run by, and she thinks, okay, it's been long enough. And so she, I guess, just jumps the barrier and starts running again and runs into the finish line a couple miles. And then we see the pictures. The police come out to help her in. And she is shocked that she wins first place. And it's very clear. You can see her reactions when she starts getting the crown at it and the medal. She's like blown away. But she's like, it's kind of that, oh, I'm in too deep sort of situation.
Yeah. So you got to like lean in.
Where so she just like starts living and continuing the lie. And there's also kind of the like weird gray area where it's like, oh, my boss paid for this because he thinks I can do this and I'm really good. And then I accidentally won this race. And so
she gets gray area. I think it's just pretty clear, you know?
So she gets the medal. And then they do this 8-day investigation. And in that investigation, they interview a lot of people. They talk to a lot of people. They ask her a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And then they actually do some tests on her. And as a part of the tests, they actually do like actual like physical tests on her. And so they find out that her resting heart rate is 76 beats per minute. And so, I mean, for a world-class runner, you'd expect like 50.
Be 50. Yeah.
And so everyone's like, there's no way you went from 256 to 231 and your resting heart rate is 76. There's not a chance. And so they're doing all these investigations.
It's the brain cancer.
And then a couple Harvard students come forward and they say, hey, we actually saw her jump out of the crowd about a half mile from the finish and continue running. And that was kind of the testimony that was like, oh, she faked it. So they end up rescinding her win. And they gave it to the girl who was next in line, which was Jacqueline Garreau.
Yeah.
And so she became the first place winner. But Rosie still like was so doubled down, she refused to acknowledge it. And she said, they're taking my win away from me. And she refused to return her medal. And so she held on to that medal until the day she died. And she continued to hold on to the fact that...
You got it. Whatever, who cares? What, are they going to rip it out of your hands?
And she continued to tell everyone she won that marathon. Shortly after, New York City did their own investigation as well.
Yeah, they were
because
like,
they're like,
okay,
oh, you
so
probably aren't. And they found that freelance photographer, and the freelance photographer was like, yeah, she rode the subway half the race, like more than half the race with me. And she told me she was injured. And so then they took away her win there. When all of this blows up, this is like a week-long thing. It's in the news. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's taking side. Is it Rosie or is it whatever? Is it Rosie or versus Boston Marathon? Who won? Who's the guy? When this all breaks, her boss is like, hey, you're fired.
Yeah.
Like, you lied to me and you spent a bunch of my money.
We're a family here. And families are built on trust.
And so...
That's his assistant in the background. Yeah. Because he's got a hype man assistant, you know what I'm saying? Like the boss is like, it's the 80s. And the boss is like, you're fired. And the boss and the assistant's back there like, Back then assistants had a pathway to a higher role in the organization. You could start as an assistant, you could work your way up within the organization, and you might one day become the CEO of that company.
One day become the
that pathway is gone. Now you had to have been born the son of the CEO. So
anyways, so Ruiz, she gets fired.
Yeah.
And she goes and she gets a job. Here's a little, this is shocking. And honestly, if you ever are applying for a job,
was she gonna job on like the board of the race?
That would be gold. No, if you're ever applying for a job and you're like, man, they're asking for a lot of information from me. Here's why. She went and immediately after this, she got a job for a real estate company as their bookkeeper. Because they were like, yeah, you seem trustworthy. You can handle our books. And so
it used to be so easy.
She gets a job as a bookkeeper, and 2 years later, she is arrested for embezzling $60,000, now worth $195,000 today, from this real estate company. And so she spends a week in jail for that, and then 5 years probation, which seems
worth it.
Honestly, not bad.
Worth it.
And then she moves to South Florida.
Again, we've talked about this on the show all the time. How long would you spend in jail? You know what I'm saying? Like if you could pull off
a
lifestyle for a couple of years.
Yeah.
What's the trade-off?
Yeah.
You got to pay it back eventually, but
Yeah. And then immediately after her probation ends, she moves to South Florida, where she starts a cocaine ring, and she starts peddling cocaine.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh. And so in '83, she gets arrested.
We were joking earlier. It's so crazy how many of my jokes turn out to be storylines. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And so she got caught for her involvement in this cocaine ring. And she, again, just 3 years probation.
If if there's stuff that we know she's not good at, it's getting away with stuff. Like she's not good at thinking through the crime.
Yeah. And then she ends up actually dying of cancer at age 66. I don't know if it was the same brain tumor or if it was something else. But it's very interesting. In 2000, she still, in the year 2000, said that I ran that race. I won that race. Mm-hmm. Steve Merrick, who is actually this guy right here, which Merrick is kind of a cool name. I'm not going to lie.
The guy behind her.
The guy behind her that you can barely see. You can just see like the corner
guy
of the
right
whites of his eyes.
Oh, okay.
He's the only person who was like supporting her through all this. And I don't really know his relationship to her. Like it was, I guess, just a close friend.
No.
And then he said...
Yeah, we know the relationship with close friend. And friend zone.
He said that in the year 2000, he came forward and said that, a few months after the race, she admitted to me that she jumped out of the crowd, not knowing that the first woman hadn't already gone by. She was just as shocked as everyone else when she came in first. And she just hasn't been able to like come clean about that. But she did come clean to me, is what he said. And he was pretty upset about it because he was like the strongest, starkest defender of her. He's like, no, she really did it. But yeah, so that's the story of how Rosie Ruiz, I guess, like accidentally won the Boston Marathon and then got it taken away from her, along with all of her prison time for breaking the law multiple times.
Yeah.
So that's Rosie Ruiz.
Wow. Okay. Remember, kids, the streets she ran on were paved by American tax dollars. And the government is not against you. The government is you. We are the government. We are a society of people who pay into the collective.
Democracy is.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
And any attempt to convince you otherwise is an attempt to exert power and control over you.
Power and control over you. But you could win the Boston Marathon if you just cheat.
If you just lie. Anything's possible. Anything's possible if you lie.
Anything's possible if you just lie about it.
Take that with you. Fiddle off.
Hey, if you like this episode and you're like, man, I wish this was more about men running a race than women, then we got one for you, the 1904 or men's Olympic marathon. It's a good one. And hey, if you want next week's episode right now, you can get that by becoming our Patreon supporter. Patreon supporters get a ton of perks. They get ad-free episodes a week early. They get access to a Discord with our hosts and producers, merch discounts, all sorts of great things, birthday messages. It's totally worth it. You can sign up at TILLN.com/support. And hey, we are an Evergreen podcast. To find out more about them, go to evergreenpodcast.com. And we'll see you next week for another episode of Things I Learned Last Night.